Yo, what is going on today, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today we're going over builds going into OB5. It has been out for a little bit now, and I think I've got a good grasp on a lot of the roles. But we're going to go over some general things. And again, if you guys have not seen my build guides, it is not updated for OB5 yet. So it's still OB4, but I'm going to be going through it over the next few days, getting it all up to date. Even right now, if you look at it right now and then you look at it tomorrow, there's probably going to be some things that changed. So I'm going to be going through just some certain ones that I think you guys need to know, or just some general things. Starting with solo lane. Solo lane, I think Axe is pretty back. I think Axe feels really good on a lot of characters. Late game, your damage is a little bit worse. Like, Axe is definitely worse than Bluestone early, but you can't really just run around power farming and expecting the game to go well that way. And Axe is a really good 1v1 option. And if you're ahead, it's very good for Snowball. I'm a big fan of Axe. Gods like Achilles use it well. Gods like Thor. And I think they're very good gods also. I'm a big fan of how it plays. Another thing to talk about, Mordred. Mordred aspect has been changed, so you'll have to ignore this one for now. I don't think the build changes too much depending on aspect or no aspect. Before, there was differences of how you'd want to play or build them because it depended on if you wanted the aspect or if you didn't want the aspect, and it changed how the character plays a lot. It doesn't really change that much, I think. So right now I just have both builds as the same, but I think Mordred feels really good. Once you get to late game, you're more of a setup god, and you're like an all-in character, so you have to be really smart. A lot of the times you're going to win fights, but you're probably going to be dying. Or if you're winning the fight, it's like a 5-0. So keep that in mind, but I do really like Mordred. And the last thing to go over, I've been really liking devs on solo lane assassins. I've tried it on Thor, I liked it. I tried it on Pele, I liked it. I mean, even on gods like bots, I've liked it. Fenrir, I've really liked it. Give it a try. Let me know what you guys think about dev gloves in that solo lane. It's got that big buff. I wonder if this actually has the buff or not. Oh, okay, so it is showing its buff, or it's changed. It is now 55 strength instead of 45. It's also lifesteal and it's flat pen. Dev gloves is really good for a lot of those assassin solos. And looking at jungle, I hate to break it to junglers, not a ton of changes to the builds on this patch. Heartseeker's got 5 more strength. Yeehaw. But the builds are mostly going to be looking the same. If you're playing a lot of the junglers, it's something like Jotuns, Erondites, Hydras. There's going to be a lot more Erondites added to these builds. I think Erondite is very good. But assassin builds aren't really changing. Heartseeker is going to be built just as much. Erondite's going to be built a little bit more. And most of the time, you're going to be building in either to a Magi's or a Mantle. That's your survivability option when you're diving into the late game. But yeah, for the most part, jungle builds don't really change. If anything, Heartseeker, you just add in Erondite most of the time, and then it's like good. And that's all you got to do. Even something like Hydra's Erondite Crusher, I think is actually really good. 3 cooldown items are right there. And the Erondite's just kind of better statted than Jotuns. Like, it kind of kills Jotuns. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Erondite. Looking at the mid lane builds, mid lane, another role that I think is still trying to get understood a little bit after the penetration changes. You want to get to about 30 to 35% pen. That's when it becomes like actually you can kill tanks. But now Heartseeker's eaten a few nerfs and it doesn't really feel that strong. I almost want to see them buff Heartseeker back up just a little bit. Going to the item compendium, we go to Soul Reaver. It's 2,800 gold, 70 intelligence, a little bit of mana regen, and 0.25% of your intelligence, and at best, I mean, you're sitting at 600, maybe 700. 3k pots are also worse. Soul Reaver is starting to feel a little bit worse. You're still probably going to be building it in a lot of games, but I'm kind of a fan of building Poly in place of Reaver a lot of the time. It gives you one-shot potential on assassins who are diving, and it also is just more damage into a lot of your kit. So that's something to keep an eye on over the next few days. Is it Reaver? Is it Poly? I'm personally going to be building a lot of Poly in my mid lane games, and then also just a lot of pen. And the last thing I want to talk about with mid builds, Doom Orb. I think Doom Orb is going to be taking the place of Book of Thoth because it's a % pen option that's not just 5. Just going Doom Orb instantly gives you 10%. Something like Doom Orb, Divine, Deso Ob, you're starting to get to the actual penetration number you need to actually be a threat to tanks. And then you end it with something like maybe Reaver and another cooldown item, whatever it is. But I'm a big fan of Doom Orb. You're probably going to be seeing in a lot of these builds. It's probably going to be taking the place of Book for a lot of characters, except Cuckoo. So that's something to keep an eye out with the mid lane builds. Going to support, we have finally gotten to a point where Lifebinder is not an auto buy. But something that I think has now flown under the radar for a little bit is how strong Thebes actually is. And something I'm going to be testing out over the next few days is just the strength of Thebes. Golem to Thebes is giving you 50 protections of each, 150 health for 2,200 gold. Granted, it's not going to your teammates or anything, so it's not as great as it used to be, but it's still just a very high statted item. And if you just buy this and then go into whatever item you want next, whether it's like a stampede or like an actual defensive active, I think that's where it gets really scary. I think Thebes is kind of flying under the radar even after its buffs, and now nerfs to Stampede, nerfs to Talisman of Purification, nerfs to Gargoyles, nerfs to Lifebinder. Thebes is just slowly creeping up as just a really solid option. I wouldn't be too surprised if a lot of games are just Thebes into Talisman, Thebes into Purification, Thebes into Gargoyles, Thebes into Stampede. I mean, even like Thebes into like a Jade Scepter, because I think Jade Scepter is actually pretty good. That's not too far away. And especially, I mean, there's like other items like Chronos Pendant for like a Baron or like a Hecate going just Thebes into Chronos Pendant, I think is very, very good. That's something to keep an eye out with in support. And then lastly, all of these builds are going to be changing except the gods that use Bragi's Harp really well. Bragi's will be staying on like Danza's, Cupid's. I'll probably be adding it to CERN instead of this Death Metal. I think Dagger Frenzy is gone. I think Dev's Gloves is taking its place. 55 strength, lifesteal, no attack speed, but you got that flat pen into like an Exe, Kins, and then you don't need Bloodforge in a lot of these games. I think that build is going to feel a lot better than the current iteration of the build. Dev's buffs crazy. It's very, very strong to the item. It's cheap, which is probably the number one thing. 2350 gold versus 2550 for Braggies, or Dagger Frenzy is 2500. You're getting it a lot faster, so you're able to start getting stacks before the enemy is actually that much stronger than you. And that's something that's a little underrated. You know, if I've got an extra 20 stacks on my Dev Gauntlet because you had to back later than I did, that's now slowing that gap between us. Because once Devs is fully stacked, Devs is a really strong item. And now it's even stronger. But yeah, that's a little look at all the roles and the builds that are going to be coming. OB5 will be updated hopefully over the next few days. I'm hoping to have it finished by Friday. I just want to mess around a little bit more with a few more things just to see how builds feel. But yeah, just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Look at the builds of OB5. Let me know what you guys are thinking about the patch, though. Are you guys thinking, you know, maybe it's feeling a little balanced, the 3K pot nerfs? How does that make builds feel all around? Maybe that's part of the reason that Heartseeker and Soul Reaver have felt a little dominant. But yeah, let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have fun today. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.